I'm a bit of a runner. This last spring I ran my 5th half marathon. For me, running is first and foremost about a release. It's about getting out, blowing off pressure, pushing myself, thinking clearly, all that. But secondly, it's a great lesson in pace. Because no matter how fast you run, somebody always runs faster than you. And I've ran those half marathons at 12-minute miles, and at the end still had people passing me, and I've ran them at 8-minute miles, and at the end had people passing me. My wife said to me one time after a race, kind of in disbelief, she said, "There were some bigger girls that finished in front of you." I'm like, thanks. There's a term in running called negative splits, and it's when the second half of the race is actually faster than the first half. World record holders in the marathons have been running negative splits for the past 50 years. It's a little bit counterintuitive, and the reason most of us run it the other way is because we think at the beginning of the race you charge out because you've got a lot of energy and you're listening to the Black Eyed Peas, and eventually your energy begins to decrease. But the thing about negative splits and the way it works is because your body needs some time to loosen up and to warm up and to get into a groove. And if you do that and trust the process, you'll actually speed up as the race goes on. There's a theory in social sciences developed by John von Neumann called game theory. And it goes something like this. He actually developed it as a way to mathematically predict a poker game. But in the end, he knew it would explain things like diplomacy and war and even love. A simplified version of his matrix looks like this. There's 2 approaches. There's a zero-sum thinking, which means the pie is only so big. There's positive-sum thinking, which means together we can grow the pie. Within this game, any player has 2 strategies, a short-term or a long-term strategy. So if you have zero-sum thinking with a short-term strategy, you have predatory behavior. BP could probably fall in this category right now. I mean, when you have an oil spill like that and your response is, it's a big ocean. Zero-sum thinking with a long-term strategy, you're ultimately unsuccessful, i.e. Bernie Madoff. Positive-sum thinking with a short-term strategy, you'll have some small successes in life, and we see this all the time, especially those around us. It's just common. But positive-sum thinking with a long-term approach will ultimately get you life success. There's another interesting thought while we're kind of throwing out theories. Go on the internet and do some research about life expectancy. The average, conservatively, babies born after 2000 are expected to live beyond 100 years. Mostly due to the rapid decrease in heart disease, or lives that are being saved through early cancer detection, better nutrition, increased fitness, all of that. But because of that, a lot of us in this room will probably live to see 100 years old. Aubrey de Grey, who's kind of the gerontologist, the Lady Gaga of the gerontology world, says that a child born this year could live up to 150 years old. Which I think is crazy, right? But it kind of makes me think about the way I run races. A mentor of mine said to me once, the biggest flaw that I see in young leaders is a lack of stamina, that they peak too early. Which is really difficult. I mean, it's really tough. It's like every day you've got in front of you 2 roads. And on one side is the live with no regrets and live like you're dying and carpe diem, seize the day. But on the other side, it's you could be around here for 100 years. And how do you get to that point successfully and you've lived life well? And so if the second half of your life is supposed to be better than the first half, I'd argue that stamina is hugely important. And stamina is crucial, and it's not just, to make stamina possible, you have to understand it. And see, I think a lot of people are waiting for their big break and for their dreams to come true, and I got this brilliant idea, and all of a sudden it's going to solve all my problems, and you know what? They're wrong. If somebody in your industry is more successful than you, it's probably because they've worked harder at it. And you know what? Yes, I'm sure they're more talented, and yes, they're more adept at networking and all that, but over the long term, it's not an excuse because those advantages count for less and less and less. And so I'm thinking about my pace, and I adjust, and I change, and I'm constantly telling myself, I'm not in a race of sprinters, I'm a marathon runner, and my stamina is critical, it's crucial. And so I think it starts with the way we run races. I think it starts with the way we approach our careers, the way we build businesses, the people we choose to put first, the words we choose to speak. And so I'll leave you with these words tonight. Inspirational words from an American poet laureate who spoke at the 1961 inauguration of John F. Kennedy, who, interestingly enough, was one of the youngest and most opportunistic presidents in history. He said this, "I shall shall be telling this with the sign, somewhere ages and ages hence, that two roads diverged in the wood, and I took the one less traveled.